The Warriors' 2022 training camp will be here before we know it, and this will be a huge stepping stone in the Warriors' quest for a repeat. 2 roster spots are still vacant, and training camp will be a huge factor to determine who gets those spots. Iguodala will likely take up one of those spots if he decides to halt his retirement, but if Iggy does decide to retire, Steve Kerr will need to fill both main roster spots, with the guys remaining on either two-way contracts, non-guaranteed contracts, or Exhibit 10 deals. Let's go over who might get these roster spots and highlight the many players competing for them. This will no doubt be a fun training camp battle. Let's start by going over exactly who is competing for the 14th and 15th spots, but in reality, it's really only the 14th spot, because the 15th roster spot will likely be left vacant for financial reasons, even if Iguodala ultimately decides to retire. But the full list of players competing for that 14th spot are Mac McClung, Trevion Williams, Pat Spencer, and the two-way players Lester Quinones and Quindary Witherspoon. I included Quinones and Witherspoon because they could be upgraded to a standard NBA contract if the Warriors staff likes what they bring to the team. Also, one other player that might be competing for a spot is Guy Santos. He never got signed to a standard contract like Baldwin and Rollins did, so there's a chance he still participates in training camp and preseason to earn a spot. However, it's likely that he will either be in the G League or overseas and be kept around as a draft and stash prospect. I thought Santos would have at least gotten a training camp deal or a G League contract by now, but it looks like that's not the case. With all that said, Santos will likely not be competing for a roster spot, and the battle will be between McClung, Williams, and Spencer for a spot with the defending champions. First, let's highlight Mac McClung and the chance he has to make the main roster. McClung is easily one of the most athletic guards in all of basketball, with his insane vertical and speed for only being 6'1". He's greatly improved as a three-point shooter and passer, making over 40% of his threes in Summer League, while also dishing out some of the best assists in Summer League. He doesn't turn the ball over too much and just has a solid basketball IQ. McClung is also the reigning G League Rookie of the Year, where he first showcased his massive improvements in shooting and passing. With his much improved play, confidence, and youth, I'd say he's got the best shot at getting the 14th spot. Despite the Dubs being guard heavy with Poole, DiVincenzo, and newly drafted Ryan Rollins as backups, McClung's skill set and highlight plays almost make him too good to pass on in my opinion. He also showed great chemistry with Moody and Kuminga in Summer League, which I'm sure made a good impression on the coaching staff and the players. I'm rooting for McClung, and I imagine he'll get some court time in the preseason, given Rollins' injury. He was one of my favorite high school players to watch back then, and I'm hoping this is finally his time to solidify himself as an NBA player. Next is Trevion Williams. He is a solid center out of Purdue that played for the Celtics Summer League team. To be honest, I still don't know too much about him, but I know he's athletic and a good rebounder, both skills that the Warriors really need. I like his chances of possibly getting the 15th spot if the Warriors decide they do want to use it, even though I don't think they will. I have to imagine Bob Myers is looking into signing a third-string big man to add some center depth behind Looney and Wiseman, and Williams might be that guy. He should get some minutes in the preseason to show what he can do, but I imagine most of his opportunities will come in training camp when he's matched up against Looney, Wiseman, and possibly Draymond and JaMychal Green. If he can out-rebound those guys and outwork them, I could see him getting a roster spot. That center spot in training camp will undoubtedly be a battle between Looney, Wiseman, and Williams, and it should be a fun thing to keep an eye on. I hope the Warriors can find a way to keep Williams around, even if he doesn't ultimately earn a roster spot. The last guy competing for a spot is former college lacrosse player Pat Spencer. From what I looked up, Spencer played 1 year of lacrosse at Loyola Marymount, then played 4 years of college basketball at Northwestern. He's been in the G League and overseas for a couple years now and is finally looking for his big break in the NBA. Spencer is definitely quite the athlete, and looking at his college stats, he's a good overall player that can do a bit of everything. He's most skilled as a scorer and facilitator, but one thing that will probably prevent him from getting a roster spot is his shooting. He shot in the mid-20s percentage-wise in college from 3, and I'm not sure how much that improved during his G League and overseas stints. He'd be a nice third-string point guard with his scoring and playmaking, but he's going to have to improve his efficiency to do so. I'm not sure he'll get any time in the preseason, given that McClung will probably get more minutes at first, but as with Williams, Spencer will need to do his main work at training camp. If he can show he's improved his three-point shot and be a workhorse defensively, I like his chances at a roster spot. Similar to the center position though, the point guard battle will get competitive with McClung and Spencer, and I'll ultimately be interested to see who can get on the court more during the preseason and earn their spot. Overall, I'm super curious to see who gets the 14th roster spot for the Dubs. Even though I think McClung has the best shot, all these guys will have a good opportunity to prove themselves to the Warriors organization. Given that the Warriors roster is already pretty deep, I imagine the coaching staff and front office will be looking more at the intangibles, like leadership, hustle, IQ, and being a good teammate. I think whoever does a combination of those things, coupled with solid play in training camp and preseason, will earn a roster spot. This will be a fun battle for sure, and will be something to keep an eye on in the next month. Thank you for watching the video, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.